What's going on, guys? Let me know if you can hear me. How's everybody doing tonight? So we have some major breaking news. What you're listening to is the Russians transmitting some kind of encrypted signal on the Russian buzzer. So I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of the Russian buzzer or not, but the Russian buzzer is their nuclear war frequency. That's the equivalent of like our nuclear war frequencies, our EAMs. They have frequencies for nuclear war, and there's some kind of strange signal being broadcasted. So I'm not sure what's going on, but this is some kind of an encrypted signal. So what's going on, Sabrina G, Vanessa, Jeff, how's it going? Deborah, Judith. No, it's not the woodpecker. The woodpecker is something else. The woodpecker is the Duga 3 radar. The Duga radar that was in Chernobyl. That was the woodpecker. This is the Russian buzzer, which is a nuclear war frequency that Russia uses to communicate with their nuclear forces. And so normally when there's no messages being broadcasted, you hear like this buzzing noise. Okay, it's like buh, 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 and it just goes like that 24/7 unless they use it for something to transmit messages. So we have some kind of strange signal coming from the Russian buzzer. Okay, so Russia is using the buzzer, and that is not a good sign considering all of the escalations in the last few days between NATO and Russia. It looks like we're on the verge of some kind of big escalation, big war between NATO and Russia. Thanks for the donation, Reliable Prepper. I appreciate it. So, absolutely crazy, guys. Just absolutely insane. And the U.S. is going to be testing some Minuteman missiles soon. So, the U.S. is going to be testing nuclear missiles. Thank you, Reliable Prepper, for the donations. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And Mr. Landfill, good to see you. Thank you for donating the 20 memberships. Sean Murphy, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Hope you're having a great Friday night. Thank you guys so much, Sean Murphy, Mr. Landfill, Reliable Prepper. Thank you guys. So, Eddie Holner, thank you for the donation, Eddie Holner. Appreciate it. So, we have some kind of encrypted signal going out over the Russian buzzer, okay, which is the frequency that Russia uses for nuclear war. And we know that the last week or so there's been massive escalations between Russia and NATO. Putin said that they would strike Europe. Russia would strike Europe if Ukraine uses NATO weapons to strike Russia. And we had Biden approve the use of American weapons on Russian territory by Ukraine yesterday. This was reported by Politico. So huge news, guys, okay? Biden is allowing Ukraine to use American weapons against Russia on Russian territory. Okay, and Putin said that that would escalate into a global conflict. So, for all we know, Russia's nuclear forces could be preparing for something. This is very, very serious, guys. So, Paul Kusal, thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. And Libra 11C, thank you for the donation. I really appreciate that. Mud and Munitions, thanks for gifting 50 memberships. That's incredible, man. Really appreciate it. You're the man. Thank you so much. For those of you guys who don't know, Mud and Munitions is a buddy of mine. He also has a YouTube channel. Check him out. He does firearms and outdoors content. We're going to be getting together soon and doing some videos together. We've already done a few already. So check him out, Mud and Munitions. Lily 2.0, thanks for the donation. I appreciate that. Hope you're having a good Friday night. David Fariello, thank you for the donation. We can always depend on you. Thank you. I appreciate that, David. I try my best to keep you guys updated with everything going on. Because things change. But let me turn that signal on again. It's really a weird signal. Let's listen to it for a second here. So that is just absolutely insane. So Russia is using their nuclear war frequency for something. What that is, I have no idea. But things are really spiraling out of control. Eddie Holner, thank you for another donation. I appreciate it. And Elena Cool, thank you for gifting a membership. Carlton Sutton, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. And God First, thank you for the generous donation. God bless you, Greg, and everyone else. I think that's what you meant to say. Yeah, God bless you too, and I'm going to keep all you guys in my prayers. I always pray for everybody here. So things are really escalating. Let me just share some of the latest breaking news. We do have the U.S. testing a Minuteman III ICBM, which is just huge news, guys. Okay, they're going to be testing a Minuteman ICBM, and Putin's residence was set fire earlier this week. Was set on fire, okay? One of his compounds in the Altai Mountains was set on fire, okay? So that is very, very concerning. Very, very concerning, guys, okay? So let me just share some of the latest news with you. So there was a missile attack on Ukraine tonight. A pretty large missile attack. We know that Western Ukraine was hit the hardest. There were missiles reported flying over the Ukrainian Carpathians. Seems that they targeted the Ukrainian Carpathians tonight for some reason. They targeted a little tiny town called Stry in the foothills of the Carpathians, which is really strange because there's nothing over there. It's just like a tiny little town. But they hit that. They also hit Mukachevo, which is a city in Ukraine just 26 kilometers from the border of Hungary. Okay? And there were some more power plants struck in western Ukraine. Thermal power plants outside of Lviv were hit directly by cruise and ballistic missiles. Major kabooms were reported. So a massive strike on western Ukraine by Russia tonight. There was an air raid alert that just expired not too long ago. So let me just read to you this official summary of this missile attack tonight from a Ukrainian news outlet. Russia launched a large-scale attack on Ukraine overnight on June 1st, launching drones and cruise missiles while damaging energy infrastructure across various regions across the country. At 4 a.m. local time, the debris from a downed Russian drone caused a fire to break out at a critical infrastructure facility in the Vinnytsia Oblast. Emergency crews are currently on the scene. Ukraine's energy minister Herman Holoshenko confirmed that energy infrastructure in Zaporizhia, Dnipropetrovsk, Donetsk, Kirovgrad, and Ivano-Frankivsk came under attack by Russian forces. So they targeted the energy of Ukraine again, okay? And they hit multiple areas of Ukraine all across the country. Thermal power plants taken down, multiple power plants taken down. Restoration workers are currently on the scene and are determining the extent of the damage. In Zaporizhia, multiple explosions were heard around 3 a.m. local time. Zaporizhia Oblast Governor Ivan Fedorov reported on Telegram. Ukraine's Air Force announced an air alert throughout the country, including the far western oblasts, citing the threat of Russian cruise missiles, drones, and Tu-95 bombers. Missiles were reported flying over Zakarpattia Oblast, which borders Ukraine's western neighbors, including Poland, Hungary, Romania, and Slovakia. So they hit the Carpathians for some reason. Why, I'm not sure, but they hit the Ukrainian Carpathians for some reason, particularly hard. Polish and other Allied aircraft were scrambled in response to reports of the Russian missile attack against Ukraine. The operational command of Poland's armed forces said on Twitter. Air raid alerts were turned off at 5:30 a.m. local time. There were no reports of casualties as of 6 a.m. local time. So massive strikes on Ukraine just about an hour or two ago. We also have the situation here at home with Trump getting arrested, or not arrested, convicted of 34 felony counts, which is just absolutely insane. 34 felonies is just ridiculous. So, this is going to cause civil unrest here in the United States. What's going on, Ross Snyderman and Angela Dunn? Good to see you guys. We are hearing also that Ukraine has started to use Western weapons already. Let me just share some footage with you guys. One moment here. We have some footage being shared by Russian media. So this is footage released by TASS, which is a Russian government media outlet, and they're claiming that Ukraine has already started using Western weapons to strike Russian territory. Now, Biden said, and U.S. officials said, that Ukraine would start striking Russian territory in the coming days and in the coming hours, okay? And this was earlier today, all right? So, Ukraine is already they're probably already striking Russian territory right now with NATO weapons. And this is a video, I think this is coming out of Moscow, potentially a Ukrainian drone or some evidence of Western weapons being used on Russian territory. So let me just turn the sound on. Sounds like some kind of public service announcement on speakers. Coming from speakers, Swetnam Ministries says, as prior army, I'll state the obvious. America, we are under attack from within, both physical and spiritual. I totally agree with you. So, apparently Russia is under attack already with Western weapons, according to Russian media. And they provided this video here, apparently showing Ukrainian weapons coming in to Russia, missiles and so forth. So, guys, it's going to kick off very, very soon. Okay, they said it's going to be within the next couple of days that Ukraine is going to start using NATO weapons on Russian soil. Okay, this is huge. This is going to be a massive escalation. We also have this Minuteman III ICBM test that's going to be taking place. Let me just read this to you guys. This is coming from the U.S. Air Force. It says, unarmed Minuteman III test launch to showcase readiness of U.S. nuclear forces, safe, effective deterrent. Vandenberg Guardians and Airmen will support two separate operational test launches of an Air Force Global Strike Command unarmed Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile off the Vandenberg test range, scheduled for the first week of June. Okay, so next week they're going to be testing two ICBMs. Okay, the first test is scheduled for June the 4th from 12:01 a.m. to June the 4th, 6:01 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, so I'm going to try to cover that live. So Pacific time is going to be 3 minus 12. That's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, that's midnight to 6 a.m. So that's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern time to 3 a.m. Eastern time on June the 4th. So let me see, when is June the 4th? Let me check my calendar here. So that's going to be Tuesday. Okay, that's going to be, it's going to be Monday night into Tuesday morning is going to be the first test. So I'm going to cover that live on this channel here. We're going to cover this test live. The second test scheduled for June the 6th. Same thing. So that's going to be Wednesday night into Thursday. I'll also cover that as well. The purpose of the ICBM test launch program is to determine the readiness of U.S. nuclear forces and provide confidence in the lethality and effectiveness of the nation's nuclear deterrent, according to Air Force Global Strike Command. Vandenberg Guardians and Airmen are committed to supporting our mission partners and these vitally important test launches from the Western Range, said Colonel Mark Shoemaker, Space Launch Delta 30 commander. Test launches like these are critical in safeguarding the defense of our nation. Consistent with previous test launches, this routine unarmed ICBM test launch will validate and verify effectiveness, readiness, and accuracy of the weapons system. A previous test launch slated for February 2024 had to be postponed due to some needed repairs at the Reagan test site, said Colonel Chris Cruz, 377th Test and Evaluation Group commander. This summer's test launch was already scheduled, so it makes sense to do them both while all the necessary personnel were in place. The launches were scheduled well in advance and have nothing to do with world events. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So they're trying to say that this was scheduled well in advance. What a lie. Just crazy how they just straight up lie. But yeah, ICBM test launch, guys. This is very, very serious. Okay, so we also had several B-52 nuclear bombers in the air today. 3 B-52 nuclear bombers were in the air today, guys, over the United States. That is crazy. Then we also had one off the coast of Portugal yesterday. We had a B-52 fly into the Suwalki Gap this week. Suwalki Gap, which is the little strip of land between Kaliningrad and Belarus. So things are really escalating. And that's still going. Okay, that Russian buzzer signal, the weird Russian encrypted signal is still going through the buzzer. So continuing on with more of the breaking news, the Dutch Minister of Foreign Affairs, Henk Bruins Slot, during a meeting of NATO ministers in Prague, stated that the Netherlands has no opposition to Ukraine using Dutch-provided equipment, including F-16 Fighting Falcon fighter jets, to strike targets inside Russia, with the first of 24 F-16s expected to arrive sometime this summer. Wow, so Denmark and the Netherlands are both saying that Ukraine can use their F-16s against Russian territory. That is absolutely crazy, guys. So things are really going to escalate this year, and in the coming weeks and months, massive escalations are coming, guys. Okay, you need to make sure you're getting prepared. Ukraine currently has no information whether its partners will introduce restrictions on the use of F-16s in attacks on Russian territory. This was stated by the president of Ukraine. So, a lot of these countries that are giving them F-16s have not specifically said that they can't use them on Russian territory, okay? And now we have Denmark and the Netherlands saying that it's going to be okay for Ukraine to use them on targets in Russian territory. The Pennsylvania Department of Health is offering to replace expired potassium iodide tablets for those living near active nuclear power plants. The tablets are free and available starting June 12th to those living and or working within 10 miles of an active nuclear power plant. So Pennsylvania is going to be giving out potassium iodide for free to people that live within 10 miles of active nuclear plants. That's pretty concerning. North Korea threatened to inflict unforeseen disaster on the U.S. over its deployment of reconnaissance aircraft to monitor its activities. And for the fourth day in a row, North Korea is currently conducting another GPS jamming attack near the northern limit line in the West Sea. Okay, so North Korea is jamming the crap out of South Korean military. So that's just crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. Ross Niderman says culinary night. Yes, culinary night. There's going to be another culinary night soon. I promise you that. It's inevitable. Let me just quickly catch up on the chat here. Charles Jones, thank you for the 20 gifted memberships. Hope you're having a good Friday night. Appreciate it. And the French government has announced that French police have foiled planned terror attacks against soccer matches at this summer's Paris Olympics. So the French government has already foiled some terror plots. That's very concerning. And Biden said about the Trump verdict that it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. And he said that Trump is threatening democracy with his attacks on the U.S. court system. So we could have civil unrest, guys. Trump is going to get sentenced in the beginning of July. I think it was July 11th is when they're going to sentence him. He was convicted on 34 felony counts, guys. 34 felonies. That is insane, okay? He's the first president in the history of America to ever be convicted of a felony. So these are the times we're living in, guys. These are the times we're living in, and in my opinion, you know, I think this is just all a big show. Either they're trying to crucify Trump because they're scared of him, or it's all just one big soap opera, and they're trying to divide us even more, you know, and try to split us apart. Rascal Dog, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Hope you're having a good Friday night. So this is just absolutely crazy, but July, we could see unrest, so get prepared, especially if you live in cities and densely populated areas. Make sure you have a plan to deal with civil unrest, okay, riots and things like that. Yeah, it's a dog and pony show. That's right, dog and pony show. Divide and conquer. And Israel submitted a 3-phase proposal for a complete ceasefire, withdrawal of troops from populated areas of Gaza, and a complete end to the war in Gaza. Wow. And Biden said that Israel offered a proposal that if the second stage is completed, would see a permanent cessation of hostilities. Biden said at this point Hamas has been devastated and they will not be able to commit another October 7th. Biden also said some people in Israel will not agree and will want to continue the war indefinitely, but we urge all those who stand with Israel to back this roadmap to a permanent ceasefire. So the Biden administration is trying to pressure Israel into this permanent ceasefire, because they don't want Israel to go into Rafah, because they're afraid that if Israel goes into Rafah, it's going to cause a war in the Middle East, because all the extremist Muslim countries are going to view this as Israeli imperialism, basically destroying the Palestinian state and conquering it. So they're trying to pressure Israel not to go into Rafah and do some kind of a peace deal, which is just absolutely insane. And it's just another sign that we're living in the end times. You know, all these countries coming against Israel, it's all in the Bible, guys, okay? Mama D, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a great Friday. And yes, the mods are awesome. Thank you to the mods. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Let's just check and see if this Russian signal is still broadcasting. Let me just see here. This encrypted frequency or encrypted signal on the Russian nuclear war frequency. Okay, it's over. Okay, so the Russian buzzer is now back to normal. You hear that buzzing sound? This is what the Russian buzzer is supposed to sound like. Okay, listen, this is so whatever encrypted message they were sending was sent already, and they're back to the normal buzzer, but it's been going on like this all day long. Russia has been transmitting encrypted messages on the Russian buzzer frequency, which is their nuclear war frequency. It's been going on like this all evening. Okay, but now it appears to be back to normal, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the coming minutes or hours we'll see another encrypted message go over. But this is what the Russian buzzer normally sounds like when there's no messages being transmitted. It's just like a buzz, a buzzing noise. You'll hear it. Okay, so that's what the buzzer sounds like normally, and let me play this signal for you guys, okay? Okay, so that's the encrypted message, okay? You can hear the difference. There's no buzz in the background. It's just like this weird, steady noise. And now let me play for you the buzzer now, what it sounds like with when it's not transmitting. Okay, so that's what the buzzer normally sounds like. You can hear that buzz, that buzzing sound, okay? And so Russia's transmitting on their nuclear war frequency, guys. That is very, very serious, okay? We also had some major breaking news that apparently Russia conducted a cyber attack against Poland, and Poland is now creating a 200-meter buffer zone along their border with Russia and Belarus, and they could potentially mine that buffer zone And the Polish government announced like 2 weeks ago that they were going to spend the equivalent of $2.5 billion to build massive fortifications along their border with Belarus and Russia to make the Polish border basically impenetrable. They're going to create all kinds of anti-tank trenches and bunkers. So that is very, very serious, guys. Okay. So, we also had Belarus conduct an Air Force drill with Russia over the weekend. From May the 27th through today, the Belarusian Air Force and the Russian Air Force conducted joint exercises. And also Belarus did a readiness check in the Gomel region, which is just north of the capital of Ukraine, Kiev. That's where Russia and Belarus initially attacked Ukraine from when they started the war. When they were going after the capital, they came down from Gomel, okay? And now Belarus did a readiness check for the government institutions there to deal with a crisis, and they're ready to put Gomel into wartime mode, okay? Wartime mode, guys. Belarus is going to put some of their provinces into wartime mode. They did Air Force exercises with Russia and Belarus, and during these exercises, they specifically practiced repelling an attack on Belarusian military facilities, and which is what would happen if there was a NATO counterattack or a Polish counterattack. They would try to strike Belarusian military facilities. So Putin is going to use Belarus as a sacrificial lamb. He's going to make Belarus attack Poland and the Baltics and NATO, and he's going to sacrifice Belarus to make his first move on NATO. He's going to use Belarus to do it, so he's not involved. So it's not Russia versus NATO directly. It's going to be Belarus attacking Lithuania and Poland, and then Poland is going to respond and annihilate all the Belarusian military facilities when that happens. And Putin is just going to sit back and say, well, we're not involved in this. This is Belarus. This is not Russia, So that's one possible scenario, but also the Belarusian Minister of Defense and the Russian Minister of Defense met to discuss military technical issues. Okay, so lots of stuff going on in Belarus, guys. Okay, it looks like war is just days away between NATO and Belarus and the Baltics and in the Suwałki Gap. So get prepared for a massive escalation soon, guys. Alfredo Galaviz says viewers are asking what a buffer zone is. A buffer zone could be anything. Blue Angel says kind of sounds like what Biden is doing to Ukraine. Peggy McGuire says I have to agree with you on that. Vanessa says she's back. So this picture on the screen is the island that North Korea launched missiles at when they did this massive salvo. They tested their short to medium range ballistic missiles. Here's Kim Jong-un. They launched like 18 of these missiles simultaneously. Okay, and these are nuclear capable missiles. They obviously didn't have nuclear warheads. They had conventional warheads, but look at those kabooms. I mean, that is pretty serious, okay? But these are short-range to medium-range missiles. Okay, here's a picture of them before they launched them. I mean, these look very similar to like S-400s, which are the Russian air defenses. So, they could launch these right at South Korea and launch a huge salvo of nuclear missiles right at South Korea. You can see each one of these trucks has 4 missile tubes, and they have, looks like 18 trucks. So 18 times 4, that's almost 100 missiles that they could launch if they wanted to with nuclear warheads. So this is very, very serious, guys, okay? North Korea is getting more and more bold, okay? So, just get prepared. So, here's a picture of Kim Jong-un. See, I had a video of the launch. Here we go. Here's a video of them launching these missiles. These are nuclear capable, okay? NYPrepper says, Yak Tom Greg, I'm doing good. How are you? 40 days to a July 11th SHTF. Yeah, so buffer zone could mean anything. It's just buffer zone it's just a clearing area that people are not allowed to. Basically, they're creating a 200-meter zone that people cannot walk into. My guess is they're going to put minefields. They're anti-tank mines. They're probably going to mine a 200-mile strip along the border of Belarus. That's what I'm guessing. Okay. We also have some breaking news that Russia has been moving military cargo planes to Kaliningrad, but this time in the evening, they sent a military cargo plane to a nuclear weapons base, near a nuclear weapons base, okay? So Russia is moving nuclear weapons into Kaliningrad. They've already put their tactical nuclear missiles on full combat alert on the border of Ukraine and in Belarus. So things can really get crazy, guys. No, I don't have any translations of the public broadcast in Russia, but it does look like Ukraine has already started using Western weapons against Russian targets in Russia. So this is huge news, and Biden said that not Biden, I'm sorry. Biden gave the green light earlier today, and U.S. officials in the Department of Defense said that Ukraine is going to start using those weapons in the coming days. We had back-to-back nights with strikes on Crimea. We had a strike last night, and then the night before, 2 strikes on Crimea. The last 2 nights, they hit some kind of oil depot. And Ukraine took out a 3rd Russian long-range radar. So they've taken down 3 long-range radars that Russia has. I believe they're all part of Russia's early warning system for ballistic missiles. So that could be grounds for Russia to use nuclear weapons against Ukraine. Do I think Ukraine will collapse the Kerch Bridge? I think they're going to try to take the Kerch Bridge down. Yes, they just need to get the green light from allies first. I think they're going to do it with F-16s. They're probably going to need the F-16s to do it. But I do think they're going to try to take down the Crimean Bridge. Yes, I do believe that. So, yeah, get prepared, guys. Yeah, this was the Russian public service announcement here. Here's Ukraine right now. You can see all the air raids have expired in Ukraine, but things are really escalating, guys. Okay, so the next couple of days are going to be critical. We have to stay very, very aware and alert because things can really get crazy. We have some breaking news coming in. A lot of Russia's nuclear war frequencies have gone dark, and there's some encrypted communications being transmitted on multiple Russian frequencies now. We have the air horn, the goose, and the alarm. These are other nuclear war frequencies that Russia uses to transmit nuclear codes. These frequencies are now either silent or they're transmitting some kind of encrypted communications, which is very strange. So this is just coming in right now. Let me just see if I can punch in some of these frequencies here so we can listen. Hold on. So this is very serious, guys. We have multiple Russian nuclear war frequencies going dark or potentially transmitting encrypted signals. Multiple nuclear war frequencies used by Russia. This is very, very serious. So that's one of the Russian nuclear war frequencies. And here's another one. Let's see what this one sounds like. Very strange. Wow, they all sound the same. Wow. So one of the Russian nuclear war frequencies has gone completely dark. This is 4770 megahertz, or kilohertz, I'm sorry. 4770 kilohertz, which is known as the alarm, is now completely silent. You can't hear anything. It's completely silent. And then if we go to the goose, which is nuclear war frequency. Hold on. So this is the goose. This is the air horn. This is another Russian nuclear war frequency, and it's making this weird noise. Listen. So that's the air horn, and then here we have the goose. Another weird sound from the goose. And then here we have the alarm. They call this the alarm. And this one is just completely silent, which is very strange because the way Russian nuclear war frequencies work is that they're never silent. They usually have some kind of ticking noise or buzzing noise to indicate that the channel is open and ready to use. And when it goes silent, it means that they're getting ready to transmit something, that something is about to go down. Okay, so we could see potentially things kicking off as soon as this weekend. Maybe Russia's going to launch some big attack on the capital of Ukraine again through Belarus. Maybe they're going to attack Poland and Lithuania. Who knows? This one frequency is totally silent, which is very strange for Russian nuclear war frequencies. And this noise you hear, this is actually an encrypted message going over the nuclear war frequency. So that's an encrypted message of some kind going over one of the frequencies. How's it going, Tiffany? Good to see you. Z Cali. Yeah, don't spread any fake news. If you don't have credible information, don't yell fire in a crowded theater, Hector Valverde, thank you for the donation. Greg, you know now what the Dems are capable of. When things get bad, martial law will be initiated by them, and elections will be postponed indefinitely, and don't put it past the Dems putting Trump in house arrest at least. Yes, I agree. They could put him in jail even. How many nuclear weapons does Russia have compared to the U.S.? It's about the same. Russia and the U.S., they both have about the same deployed weapons, and they have about the same in stockpiles. So it's roughly the same. But how many you have is not that important. What's important is the accuracy and, the quality of your arsenal. How reliable are your delivery platforms? How accurate are they? And we definitely have the best delivery platforms in the world. We're the only country with functioning stealth bombers. Russia doesn't have them. China doesn't have them. We're the only country with 60+% of our nuclear arsenal within our submarines. Okay, we have the most nuclear armed submarines in the world, and we have the most powerful warheads on our subs of any country in the world. Okay, our submarines carry the most powerful warheads of any submarine in the world. All right, so with our submarines, we can literally level entire continents and turn them to dust just with our submarines. That's not including our Minuteman missiles. That's not including our stealth bombers, our B-52s, our B-1s, and then who knows what other kind of exotic weaponry we have that our government hasn't told us about, like directed energy or rods of God, things like that. I mean, there's all kinds of exotic weaponry like plasma weaponry, which was already developed in the early 90s. The U.S. government developed a plasma weapon. So, there's all kinds of technology we have that we don't know about. Our government keeps everything secret. But Russia's nuclear war frequencies are transmitting right now some encrypted messages, and some of these frequencies have gone dark, which is very concerning. So weird stuff. Weird stuff going on. Thank you again, Hector, for the big donation. I really appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Hope you're having a great Friday night. And I hope you have a great weekend. So get prepared, guys, okay? Things are really spiraling out of control. Is this maybe because the radar sites were taken out? Yeah, maybe it's related to the radar sites being taken out. It could be related to that. Yeah, for sure. What's going on, Amy King? Good to see you. So this was the weird noise on the Russian buzzer. For those of you guys just tuning in, the Russian buzzer is a famous Russian nuclear war frequency. They use it to transmit to their nuclear forces, and they transmitted some kind of strange signal on the buzzer. Let's listen to this again. This was earlier tonight, and throughout the evening they were transmitting this. Have a good night, Vanessa. Thanks for tuning in. What's going on? Cats don't care. Mud and munitions, you're still here. Um, so this is crazy, guys. So this is a nuclear war frequency that Russia uses. This is what it normally sounds like when they're not transmitting. Let me play it for you. So you can hear that noise, the buzzing noise. That's right now. And this was just an hour ago. And then we have other frequencies, not just the buzzer, but other frequencies, the goose, the air horn, and the alarm. These are other Russian nuclear war frequencies that are transmitting either encrypted messages or they're just completely silent, which is very strange. So here's one of them. This is the air horn. Let me see. So this is a frequency used for Russia's nuclear forces to transmit to nuclear forces. Normally the Russian frequencies have some kind of like ticking noise or something in the background, but instead there's this weird noise. And then here's another one. This is called the goose. What's going on, Cat Swee? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, we can check some flights and see what's going on, but chances are they're probably going to be flying with transponders turned off. Right now over Europe it's quiet, but that's not unusual for this time. Usually things start picking up in the next like 2 hours or so. We did have 3 B-52s flying over the CONUS today, continuous United States. Hope you're doing well, by the way, Cat Swee. What's going on, Amy Sturdivant? So make sure you guys have a nuclear war survival plan. What you need to do right now is you need to think about what are the nearest nuclear war targets close to where I live and close to where I work. I have an entire list on my website of all the nuclear war targets, primary and major targets in the United States, and also in Canada and in Europe as well. So you need to know where's the nearest nuclear war target. Am I downwind? Am I upwind? What time of the year am I downwind? Depending on prevailing winds and how they change throughout the seasons. You need to have a fallout shelter. If you don't have if you don't have a basement, then you need to find another structure that you can use as a fallout shelter. Typically, your basement is going to be the best bet for most Americans. basement of your house, basement of your apartment building, subway station, basement of an office building. And if you live in an area that's in a floodplain and there's no basements anywhere, you can still find sturdy above ground structures that are built of dense material and have large square footage, which can protect you from radiation. The only way to protect yourself from radiation is through distance, time, and shielding. Remember that. Distance, time, and shielding. Those are the only three things that can protect you from radiation. So distance is the inverse square law. We use the inverse square law to determine how strong radiation is. So by doubling the distance from a radiation source, you can cut the amount of radiation by 3/4. Okay, so if you double the distance from a radiation source, the radiation is going to be 4 times less. Okay, so keep that in mind. Then you have the shielding, which, you have halving thicknesses for different materials. I have a list on my website of common materials and their halving thicknesses. Typically, one halving thickness for dirt or sand is going to be about 3.5 inches. So you're going to want several halving thicknesses. One halving thickness is usually not enough unless you're already in a pretty sturdy fallout shelter. And then you have time. And for time, we use the 7-10 rule. For every factor of 7 in time, the radiation is going to decrease by a factor of 10. Okay, so if, let's say, you have radiation outside right now, in 7 hours it's going to be 10 times less, and then in 49 hours it's going to be 100 times less, and then in about 2 weeks it's going to be 1,000 times less. Okay, so really the first 2 days are the most critical. After the bombs go off, you have to be in a fallout shelter the first few days, and you have to plan to stay in that fallout shelter without leaving it for at least the first 2 days, because that's when radiation is going to be extremely high, and you're going to get a fatal radiation dose in just 30 minutes of exposure. Okay, so first 48 hours are critical, because after the first 48 hours, the radiation will be 100 times less. And then after 2 weeks, it's going to be 1,000 times less. Okay, so you need to have enough food and supplies, water, for at least 2 weeks. Okay, to shelter in place for 2 weeks. You also need a way to eliminate your waste. Okay, have some garbage bags or biodegradable bags and some folding toilet seats. Okay, because you're going to need to go to the bathroom. If you're sheltered in your basement for 2 weeks, you're going to need to go to the bathroom. Have some books to read. Bring a Bible, bring some books, whatever. If you have kids, have some board games or comic books or whatever to keep them occupied. Okay, but you have to shelter in place for 2 weeks, and the first 2 days, you under no circumstances can you leave your shelter the first 2 days. Under no circumstances, because you're going to take a fatal dose in just 30 minutes. Okay, so Jesus Lover 77, thank you for the donation. Howdy Greg from warm South Texas. God bless you. Thanks for always keeping us informed. Lori Ann, thanks for the donation, Lori. I appreciate it. And I hope you're having a great Friday night, and I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for all the people who donated tonight. I really appreciate it. Yeah, how far from the targets? It depends. That's not an easy question. I've talked about it many times. Check out my nuclear war survival videos. I'm not going to keep repeating myself over and over, but check out my nuclear war survival videos. I have them in a playlist that'll answer all your questions. But it's hard to say because it depends on the type of warhead. What's the blast yield? How strong is the blast? Okay. The second thing is air burst or ground burst or sub-ground burst, underground burst. That's going to have an effect on radiation, on the blast wave. So generally speaking, air bursts are going to be used for cities and softer targets that don't need to have a lot of explosive power to destroy. So like big cities are going to probably get air bursted. The good news with an airburst is there's no fallout, there's no radiation, but the bad news is that the blast wave spreads a lot further because the blast wave is not in contact with anything on the ground. So the blast wave propagates a lot further out, so there's a larger damage radius. However, the damage is not as extreme as with a ground burst. The ground burst has the most extreme overpressures concentrated right on a specific target. Usually ground bursts are used to destroy hardened targets. Okay, so there's a lot of factors that come into play. So, generally speaking, you're going to want to be at least 5 miles away from a nuclear war target to get away from the blast. But then you still have from the most extreme blast, because you're still going to have a moderate blast wave that's going to propagate 10, 20, 30 miles, depending on what type of weapon they use, how many they use. It's really hard to say, but, generally speaking, at least 5 miles away. Even then, that's pretty close, because you're still going to get, even if you're not right next to the target or at the target, you're still going to get a moderate blast wave, even if you're 5-10 miles away, enough where maybe half of your house gets destroyed. It's going to be like the equivalent of experiencing a Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane. Okay, that's what the blast wave is going to be like if you're 5, 10, 20 miles out. If you're within, let's say, 5 miles, it's just catastrophic destruction with very little chance to survive. Everything is going to be destroyed in that 5 mile or less radius. Okay, that's like the complete destruction radius. They call it the severe damage zone. Homeland Security calls it the severe damage zone. 100% of buildings, except extremely strong buildings, will be destroyed. Paleo Greenbird, thanks for the donation. Hope you're doing well. Thank God we have a proper news source. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, no problem, Paleo. Hope you're having a great Friday night. Thank you so much for that donation. I really appreciate it. Hope everything's going well up there in Maine. How's it going, Z Cali? Good to see you. How will we be notified if they launch? They're supposed to notify us through the emergency alert system. So, the emergency alert system goes out through telephones, through TVs, through radio. That's how they would notify us. Just like, an Amber Alert or a tornado warning. It would basically be the same thing. You'd get an alert on your phone saying that nuclear missiles are coming, and they would tell the specific targets and what the impacts are gonna, where the impacts are gonna be. So what's going on, Country Christian? Good to see you. Yeah, the emergency broadcast system, the emergency alert system, that's correct. Wouldn't that cause an EMP? Yes, nuclear detonations will cause EMPs, but to really cause like a large EMP that would damage a large area, you need to detonate a very powerful warhead, and it has to be detonated very high over the target. It has to be like 200 miles in the atmosphere. Okay, so an airburst is usually like 5,000 feet or about a mile above the target. So if they detonate a nuclear warhead over New York City, it's going to be most likely about a mile above New York City, and that would maximize the blast radius and the damage. Assuming that, depending on what they're trying to do, they could also, for example, hit New York City with multiple ground bursts. They could hit New York City with, let's say, 5 ground bursts to completely rubble all the buildings. That's another possibility. It's really hard to say, Then they have cobalt bombs, which are really scary. Cobalt bombs are nuclear warheads that they add a radioactive cobalt to, and this radioactive cobalt can contaminate an area for up to 10 years. So one of my biggest fears is that in a nuclear war, Russia could, let's say, launch cobalt bombs at the Midwest to contaminate our soil, which would basically eliminate our food supply for much of the U.S. for up to 10 years, because the cobalt is highly radioactive, and they would need to take bulldozers and scrape off like several feet of earth in order to get rid of all that cobalt. Otherwise, they would have to wait 10 years or so for all the radiation to subside. But, one of the things that Russia could do, because we know Russia likes to play dirty and fight, they don't like to fight fair. Let's be honest. Okay, Russia does not fight fair. They don't, follow any rules, as we've seen in Ukraine, the way that they target cities and kill civilians. We should expect the worst from Russia in a nuclear war. One of the things I think they could do is, let's say, if we look at the Midwest here, okay, all the plain states, all the states that produce all our food, Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Illinois, Indiana. Well, Indiana maybe not so much, but all the central plain states, all the Midwestern states that produce a lot of grain, they could hit these states with multiple cobalt bombs, and they could overlap them so they cover a huge area here, and that would contaminate all our most fertile soil for 10 years. Okay, and that would cause massive problems for the U.S. And as far as I know, our government doesn't have any plans to deal with that. Maybe they do, I don't know. But our government, I hope they have plans for that. How are they going to feed everybody when that happens? Kara Spindler, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Thanks for all these updates and information. China has bought up so much farmland so they won't contaminate that asset. Survival rates also are increased with people nearby that you can group up with. Thank you very much, Kara. Yeah, it's hard to say, just because China bought up the land doesn't mean anything. Grandma Preps says radio notifications and then EMP follows that. Yes, generally speaking, if Russia uses an EMP, or if any of our enemies use an EMP, we should expect nuclear strikes immediately after, because they're not just going to EMP us without a follow-on nuclear strike. That's a big mistake that a lot of preppers make when they're preparing, is they prepare only for an EMP, but nobody's going to do an EMP against us because they know that that's suicidal. They know that if they do an EMP against the United States, that we're going to immediately retaliate and level their country, whoever it is, North Korea, Russia, China, whatever. So if they're going to do an EMP, they're going to follow on with nuclear strikes. Okay, it's going to be the EMP is going to be the introduction, or the prologue or whatever to the actual strike. Okay, it's going to be the opening of the show. All right, the EMP is going to soften up the target. It's going to take out our grid. It's going to affect our satellites. It's going to affect our communications, military and civilian. And then they're going to launch 1,000+ warheads at us, trying to take out our military, destroy all our nuclear forces, destroy our main military bases, destroy some of the most valuable things in our country. So the EMP is not going to be by itself. They're not going to do that. If there's an EMP, if the power suddenly goes out, you need to be on high alert and expect that there's going to be missiles coming immediately, okay? But thank you for the donation, Kara Spindler. I appreciate it. Diane Ware, thank you for the donation. Thank you for keeping us updated. Do you use analog equipment to monitor? Might be a good idea to do so. Yeah, I'm trying to set up some analog equipment to monitor everything. I do have a ham radio, but it's not set up to receive, actually I can pick up the nuclear war frequencies with my ham radio. I have picked them up, but they come in very staticky. I don't have the proper antenna. Thought about purchasing an indoor camp stove. That's a great idea, Peggy. All you got to do, which you can get like a backpacking stove. One of the really good companies is called Nyco, Kni-CO, Nyco. They're based out of Alaska, and they make these camping stoves, backpacking stoves that you use with, tents outside. And you can, in an emergency, I'm not saying you should do this, normally. It's not recommended because those camp stoves are not 100% sealed, like a proper wood stove is. But they're sealed enough where you can use them short to medium term, and you'll be fine. So you can set that up in your home, and just make sure you keep it, 2 to 3 feet away from the walls and any combustible material. And then you run your flue outside of a window. Just open a window, run the pipe outside the window, and then just, get some sheet metal and cut a piece of sheet metal to around the pipe to close off the window. And then you basically have a wood stove in your apartment, and you can cook with it, you can heat with it, you can disinfect water with it, everything, okay? So they're not expensive. You can get one for like $250 with all the piping and everything. You may want to get some bricks to put down on your floor to protect the floor from the heat coming from the stove, because these stoves are thin. The metal is thin. They're lightweight. They're made for camping. They're not like 800-pound cast iron stoves. So a lot of the heat is transmitted out. So just get some, pavers. You can get like the concrete pavers, like big 2-foot by 2-foot pavers, and just put them on your floor, and then put the stove on top of that to protect your floor so you don't have a fire. And get like 2 or 3 of them. I actually have two of these stoves like that. I have 2 of them. They're just so handy for multiple things. And if you do have to bug out into a wilderness area, let's say, your house gets compromised, your apartment, whatever, and you have to flee, and you have to, let's say, camp out in the wilderness for a little bit to get away from marauders or whatever, those camp stoves could save your life, especially here in the northern part of the U.S., where it's basically cold for 6 months out of the year. I mean, even tonight here in Pennsylvania, there's supposed to be frosts in my area. It's supposed to go down to the low 30s, and it's already June 1st, okay? So it doesn't have to be super cold for you to get hypothermia, You can get hypothermia even in 50s, 40s. It doesn't have to be super duper cold. There was also another X-class flare from the old sunspot that caused the super flare. Let me share this with you guys. Hold on. So here we have an X 1.1 flare that erupted from the sun, and you can see it's actually partially, it's basically Earth facing an X 1.1 flare. Okay, so there's supposed to be some geomagnetic storms tonight. You may see some auroras if you live in the northern United States. There's actually a G2 class geomagnetic storm watch in effect right now. But there was an X 1.1 flare. So this could produce some low latitude auroras maybe in the next couple of days. So this is the same sunspot that generated that crazy solar storm 2 weeks ago, or maybe longer now. I forget how long ago that was. 3 weeks ago. This is sunspot 3664. It also produced an X 1.4 3 days ago, and then like 5 or 6 days ago it produced an X 2.7. So Gibbs Brothers Paranormal, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. We have some U.S. Air Force cargo planes going to Europe right now. Let me share my screen. So this is U.S. equipment going over to Europe. We got several C-17s and a C-5 Galaxy going over to Europe now. Check that out. These are heavy lift planes. They carry heavy cargo, okay, lots of ammunition, missiles, tanks, whatever, and looks like they're going into Europe, so they're reinforcing probably the European countries in preparation for this war with Russia. Travis Heckmaster, thank you for the donation. I hope you're having a good Friday night. Yeah, no problem, Gibbs Brothers Paranormal. Thanks again, Travis. Hope you're having a great Friday and hope you have a great weekend. Tiffany Hartman, good to see you. Kincoy, good to see you. Powerful Preps, how's it going? Yeah, just absolutely insane, guys. Things are really spiraling out of control. Duchess of Dub, sorry I forgot your donation. Sometimes they don't show up. Big Phil, thank you for the donation. Joel Pricer, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Oh yeah, Duchess of Dub, thank you for the donation. I see that. And Arnie A, thank you for that donation. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Sometimes these donations don't show up. Colby Widener, thanks for the donation. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a good Friday night. Have a good night, Tartan Granny. So, as you can see here, we have multiple U.S. Air Force heavy cargo planes going over to Europe. So, reinforcing Europe and Ukraine most likely. We have some C-17s going from the west coast to the east coast. We have some Area 51 Janet flights. Check this out. This is a Janet flight. It's crazy how they fly into Area 51 in the middle of the night. So right now in Nevada, what is it? 11 at night, 2,300 hours, I think, or 2,200 hours. Is Nevada Mountain Time or are they West Coast time? I can't remember. But anyway, they fly into Area 51 in the middle of the night. Check this out. You see, this is, let's see, is that Groom Lake? Yeah, that looks like Groom Lake, yep. So they're flying into Area 51 right now. Absolutely insane. So obviously they're doing some weird stuff if they're flying in the middle of the night into Area 51. 2,200 in Nevada. Okay. LB Rules, thanks for the gifted memberships. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hope you're having a great Friday night. God bless you. Thaldrin, what did he say? Thaldrin says, thank you, NYPrepper plus mods, for all you do. The future, I see both the light and the darkness. Whatever you all do, stay alive. Spread my word of peace. I love you all. Thank you, Thaldrin. I appreciate it. What's going on, Diva's mom? Good to see you. Yeshua is king. How's it going? Cats Don't Care says, Area 51 has always fascinated me. Yeah, me too. Okay, Nevada's Pacific time. Yeah, so you guys got some Janet flights going into Area 51 tonight. These are the flights that transport workers to Area 51 because they're not allowed to drive in, so they fly in their workers in the middle of the night, which is just really crazy. You know, if they weren't doing super secret stuff, they wouldn't be flying in employees, you know, in the middle of the night. I mean, that is just absolutely insane. So let's just check and see some of these Russian nuclear war frequencies, if they're still broadcasting those weird signals. Yeah, they're still doing it. Okay, so the Russian buzzer's quiet right now. It sounds funny, doesn't it? Just checking some frequencies here. Just checking some frequencies. Sorry about that. No basements in the Sandhills in North Carolina, only in the Piedmont and in the mountains. Yeah, you don't need a basement though. You can find a structure that's, you know, sturdy and dense, and you know, that'll protect you. Tiffany says food is done. Melissa says I was a co-founder of Central Texas Paranormal. Interesting. So that's some of the main breaking news, guys. It looks like we're on the verge of war with Russia. It's basically imminent. So get prepared. And for some reason, emergency action messages are unusually quiet tonight. But I'm going to be monitoring them. I have it on right now, so if they come in, we can hear them. Let me just check and see if there's any new updates here. But Area 51 flight right now. Several heavy cargo planes going to Europe right now. Check this out. This is crazy. Lots of C-17s and C-5s. This is pretty substantial. So they're sending stuff to Europe for Ukraine, for Poland, for the Baltics. We have this U.S. Navy reconnaissance drone patrolling the coast of Libya. We also have Forte 16, which is a U.S. reconnaissance drone heading into the Black Sea right now. So I do expect Ukraine to launch some big strikes on Russia. I do expect Ukraine to launch some big strikes on Crimea and also on Russian territory in the coming days with all this American equipment. Let me see if I can show you guys these B-52s that were airborne earlier today. We had 3 B-52s up in the air. So this was earlier today. You can see 3 B-52s. This is pretty unusual, guys. Yes, with American weapons. That's right, with American weapons, because Biden has already green-lighted it. So we had 3 B-52s airborne earlier today. Let's see what else. Just a crazy amount of reconnaissance over Poland and the Baltics. Oh, and here's the B-52 that flew to Portugal, off the coast of Portugal, 2 days ago. So Abominable Snowman says, Greg, Friday at 3 p.m. I noticed Indian military flying out of Alaska. What would be the reason? It could be some kind of a depends on what kind of plane it was. It could have been VIPs. Jake B says, this is the second day in a row 3 buffs were up in Conis off the coast in Diego Garcia. Don't forget about wild dogs after the apocalypse. Yes. Yeah, there's going to be lots of stray dogs running around, and they're going to form big packs, and they're going to attack people. Diva's mom said she enjoyed my video earlier with the mud. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I have a lot more videos coming, more mudding and off-road videos coming very soon. So if you like that, there's definitely going to be more of that. I might do some like overlanding stuff here. Might do some more like overlanding videos. I don't really do a whole lot of overlanding because I live in a very secluded area, so I don't really need to overland. I can just drive like 15 minutes and I'm in the middle of the wilderness, you know. But I may do some more overlanding and explore some of the areas around Pennsylvania, maybe West Virginia, some of the national forests and stuff like that. I agree with you, Z Cali. And Mud and Munitions says you can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to do some of that with you. That'll be fun. Sad that animals, children, women, and the elderly suffer the most. Sad that anyone has to suffer for stupid banker wars. We got a U.S. Army Black Hawk flying close to the North Korean border. We also have this U.S. Army recon plane here flying near North Korea. China already uses robot dogs. Yeah, I have a video of that I was going to share with you guys. Let me see if I can share that with you. Just absolutely insane. Let me see here. Yeah, I mean, I think that the U.S. government has real Terminators I mean, they already have an F-16 that can fly by itself with AI, and it can outfly experienced F-16 pilots. They already tested an F-16 with AI. It was completely piloted by itself with AI, and it outflew an F-16 or F-16 pilots with 3,000 hours of training or 3,000 hours of experience. So it's just crazy footage here. Look at that. That's just insane. Um, Robot mosquitoes. Yeah, they've had the robot mosquitoes for years, actually. The CIA, um, they have robot mosquitoes and tiny robot animals that they used for years to spy on people. They have like little robotic bugs, that they can use to crawl into different places and listen to people. If you go to the different spy museums, you can see some of that stuff. It's pretty cool. They have like little grasshoppers. They look like a grasshopper or like a bug, but they're actually remotely controlled, little recording devices and cameras. Yeah, the green tip 556 could potentially fix that. Yep. That's true. Or some 12 gauge buckshot. Yeah, so that's just absolutely insane. Let me just check and see if there's any updates, but looks like we're on the verge of war with Russia. There was a cyber attack on Poland. Everything indicates that Russia launched a cyber attack on Poland. Okay, that's what Polish news is reporting. There was a cyber attack on Poland. Russia launched a cyber attack on Poland. So this is very, very serious, guys. Okay. Yeah, we're hearing unconfirmed reports that U.S. drones have attacked the interior of Russia after Biden gave Ukraine permission. We're hearing that U.S. supplied weapons attacked Kazan. So these are just rumors right now. We don't know for sure if that's true or not. But Russia, I think, is claiming that they struck some targets deep inside of Russia. The Ukrainian energy company is saying that Russia destroyed the energy infrastructure in 5 regions of Ukraine with missiles. So that's pretty serious. Poland scrambled fighter jets to the border of Ukraine during the missile attack overnight. Tiffany Hartman says, God bless everyone and God bless America. Z. Callie says, can I pet that dog? That's funny. That's very funny. The other night when we were live, everybody was talking about the different 90s, what was it, 90s stuff. We were talking about like 80s and 90s stuff. Everybody was talking about like video games and movies and different things from the 90s. That was pretty funny. Nostalgia night. Wow, look at all these planes, guys. Oh, we have another one taking off. 4 planes going to Europe. 4 C-17s and C-5s. 3 C-17s and a C-5 all going towards Europe right now. Peggy says that was so much fun. Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. Mud and Munitions says, when you drove your truck through the mud playing Like a Rock was classic. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. Yeah, the old Chevy commercials in the 90s were the best. Those were epic commercials. Yeah, like all the different TV shows and video games and movies. I mean, they were just incredible. It's just really awesome stuff. Yeah, Airwolf. Airwolf was classic. Cats are not weird. They run my house. For some reason, the U.S. nuclear war frequencies are really quiet. Let's see the Russian nuclear war frequency and see the buzzer if it's still buzzing. Yeah, the 90s were awesome. The 90s were awesome. This is crazy, guys. 4 of these heavy lift planes going to Europe now. Wow. That's a lot. Let me just check and see if there's any updates here. Just checking to see if there's any updates. We had Dmitry Medvedev threaten Poland and threaten nuclear war. Yeah, so Russia is saying that Ukrainian forces mounted a large-scale missile attack into Russia's Belgorod Oblast, right across from the border. So it looks like Ukraine may have struck Belgorod with American missiles. So this is very serious, guys. We have some new footage coming in. Let me see if I can share that. So here's the footage provided by Russian media. Looks like air defense missiles. Looks like Russia used air defense missiles here. You see? They launched one up into the air and then it exploded. You see that right there? That's the air defense missile coming up and hitting some object in the sky. So Russia is claiming that this was American or NATO weapons that were used for the first time on Russian territory tonight. Okay, so we've heard all kinds of weird things tonight on the Russian nuclear war frequencies. So it's possible that we could wake up tomorrow and there could be a nuclear war, or Russia could use nukes on Ukraine. You know. Yeah, it sounds like someone's lighting a cigarette in the background, which is typical of Slavic countries. People smoke a lot of cigarettes. Bailey, good to see you, Bailey. Glad I filled up my tank. Yeah, I'm glad too. Yeah, very scary. Very scary, Tiffany. Yeah, I knew from the time this war started, I knew from the time this war started that it was going to escalate. I knew when this war started that this was the beginning of World War III. A lot of people thought I was crazy, but here we are. If you go back to my videos, actually I had to delete a lot of them because of YouTube, but I don't have a lot of them up. But when the war started, I was warning people that this was the start of World War III. And, you know, we're basically in World War III now. We just don't realize it. We're in, like, the same position that America was in 1938 or 1939 when Hitler invaded Czechoslovakia and then subsequently invaded Poland. Well, he didn't invade Czechoslovakia. He forced Czechoslovakia to give up some of their land, claiming that Germans lived there. What is Putin doing? Putin's doing the same thing. Okay, just like how Hitler said, oh, there's Germans in Czechoslovakia and parts of Czechoslovakia are actually German land and we want it back. And you better give it to us or we're going to start a war. So what happened? They gave the land to Hitler to appease him, okay, to prevent a war. Oh, just give him what he wants. He's not going to ask for more. But that was the fundamental test that the Allies failed. And we're in the same position now where, Putin, is claiming all these areas are Russian and he has the right to go in and take it back and reincorporate it into Russia. It's the same thing that Hitler did. It's a mental sickness, okay? And so, we're in the same position now that the Allies were with Czechoslovakia and then subsequently Poland when Hitler invaded Poland. That's the same thing that happened when Russia invaded Ukraine 2 years ago. And the world just refuses to believe that we're in this situation now because it's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to believe that we're living in World War III, but we are. We're in the beginning stages of it, and we just don't realize it because life still seems mostly normal. We're not getting drafted like in World War II. We're not, spinning up factories and stuff to produce weapons, but that's coming. That's coming. It's going to happen. The Bible says it's going to happen. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. The Bible says World War III will happen. So it's just unavoidable. So you might as well prepare for it. If you know something's going to happen, you might as well be prepared for it. I think the draft will come. But yeah, we're in the same situation now as we were in 1938, 1939. We just don't realize that things are about to get crazy. But I told you guys 2 years ago when this war started that this was it. This was the beginning. It was only going to continue to escalate. And so because, Ukraine is so crucial for both Europe and for Russia. It's like a tiger and a lion fighting over a piece of meat. Okay, that's what this is. Ukraine is like the piece of meat. Russia's the lion. America's the tiger, They both want that piece of meat. It's critical for them for different reasons. Ukraine is a very strategically located country. It's important for both Europe and Russia, so it's just this tug of war, and neither side is going to let the other side win. And so in that situation, it's just going to keep escalating, just more and more and more until we get into a full-fledged war. And Russia's preparing for a full-fledged war. They're doing these exercises in Belarus. They're moving equipment into Kaliningrad. The U.S. is flying nuclear bombers to the Suwalki Gap right next to Russia. I mean, it's just really escalating, guys. So, learn from history and, prepare for what's coming because it is going to come. I know it's not, the nicest thing to hear on a Friday night, but that's just the truth. Look at all these heavy cargo planes going over to Europe now. This is insane. Wow. Massive amount of U.S. military hardware going over to Europe right now. We have some breaking news coming in. It looks like Ukraine is under an air raid alert right now. Air raid alert under Ukraine, or for all of Ukraine right now. This is just breaking right now. So Ukraine is under an air raid alert again tonight. This is very concerning. Another air raid alert for Ukraine. Yeah, the 80s were awesome. I agree. Wow. Air raid alert across all of Ukraine right now. An air raid alert is a alert that a missile attack is coming. So Ukraine is under another missile warning. Ukraine is under another missile warning. We had an X 1.1 solar flare. So a lot of stuff going on. Cyber attack in Poland. Russia launched a cyber attack in Poland. Just going to monitor this air raid alert and see what the results are from this. So the entire country of Ukraine is under an air raid alert right now. I'm going to be checking for updates now. Hold on. Checking to see if there's any updates. Stand by. Thank you, Peggy. I appreciate it. Steven Innocencio, thank you for the generous donation, Steven. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a great Friday night. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate that donation. Very kind of you. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a good Friday, and I hope you have a good weekend. So we have this massive air raid alert for all of Ukraine tonight. Another air raid alert. This is very unusual to have them back to back. So, very strange. I'm just going to be checking some sources here to see any updates on this. So there was a cyber attack on Poland. Russia launched a cyber attack on Poland earlier today. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin extended the deployment of the Eisenhower Strike Group. Okay, looks like they canceled Looks like they canceled the air raid. Interesting. They're canceling some of the air raids now. Looks like they still have it for central and eastern Ukraine, but they canceled Lviv. Very interesting. But U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin will be extending the deployment of the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group. Thank you again, Steven. I appreciate that. Is there any Android app to hear the EAMs? I don't think so. I don't use any apps, so I don't know, actually, to be honest. You might be able to find something, but I don't know of anything. Okay, cats don't care. Have a good night. What's going on, PAEMT? Hope everything's going well. So we still have a lot of these air raid alerts for Ukraine. A second air raid alert. And the U.S. said that in the coming days, Ukraine is going to start using American weapons to strike targets inside Russia. So that's huge. We have some breaking news. The Washington Post is saying that Russia is preparing to open a new front in northern Ukraine in the Sumy region. Ukrainian intelligence says they have detected a large amount of radio and satellite communication from a large Russian army group on the Sumy-Kursk border. Wow, that is huge. And I think I told you guys a few weeks ago that they were going to do that. I told you that Russia was going to go in from Sumy and then try to go south to Poltava. I think they're going to try to do that very soon here. But we have breaking news that Ukrainian intelligence is saying they detected a large amount of radio and satellite communication from a large Russian army group on the Sumy border. Okay. So that is very concerning. Yeah, the EAMs are quiet tonight for some reason. Unusually quiet. Kirk says, I love cornbread. That's funny. Corey Kuyavsky, thanks for the donation, for gifting 20 memberships. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Hope you're having a great Friday night. That was very nice of you to do. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So yeah, Ukraine has intelligence that they detected a large amount of radio and satellite communication in the Sumy region. So Russia targeted energy infrastructure in Ukraine earlier. Looks like another potential attack on Ukraine. Do we have any planes up? Yeah, what you're looking at on the screen are all the planes. We have several military cargo planes going to Europe. We don't have any nuclear warplanes in the air right now, though, which is strange. Wow, we have some new footage coming out of Taiwan, showing the Taiwan Coast Guard chasing a Chinese landing ship out of restricted waters. Wow, it's pretty crazy. Check this out. This is crazy.
这里是中华民国海巡署 PP-1洞洞39艇，现在对你广播，你已经进入金门近县市水域，严重影响我国海上交通安全及秩序，请你立即转向驶离，请你立。
So that's a Chinese amphibious landing ship, apparently, that the Taiwan military chased out of a restricted area. Wow. The Ark, Jesus is Coming. Thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships. That's really nice of you. Hope you're having a great Friday night. Thank you so much. Now suddenly the air raid alerts are getting canceled in Ukraine, which is pretty strange.
KD-162，这里是中华民国海巡署 PP-1洞洞39艇，现在对你广播，你已经进入金门近县市水域，严重影响。
Pretty weird. So interesting. Cindy Rose says hello from Sacramento. How do you turn on gifts? I'm not sure actually. LB Rules says, thank you for the donations, especially for the memberships. As I said, I love seeing icons by everyone's name. Thank you, LB Rules. That's really nice of you. You guys are all super kind, and we have the best moderators here in all of YouTube. Thank you guys so much. I agree, PAEMT. We are all in this together. Pam is asking, how can I get more information on Taiwan? My youngest was deployed there a few weeks ago, and he is Coast Guard after being in the Marines. That's a good question. Great question. Honestly, I don't know what kind of information you're looking for, but your best bet would be to follow some of the military websites. I don't know if he has a base that he's deployed out of. I would check check with that base for updates. Did I notice that it's been the slowest news week in years, even with Trump BS convictions? Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say it was a slow news week. I mean, we had some major news this week. I mean, we had, the situation with Putin and Biden allowing Ukraine to use American weapons inside of Russian territory now. Putin threatening war. Thank you, Z Cali. You're so awesome, Z Cali. Thank you. Do we know if China's giving Russia artillery shells and rockets yet? We don't know if they're giving it to them yet, but I'm sure they are, or they probably have been. I wouldn't be surprised. Emma Jane says, I'm in the UK and our media is saying nothing about what our government is doing. Yeah, it's the same thing here. The media here does the same thing too. They don't really say much. Pam says, I thought he would be safer in the Coast Guard. Yeah, the Coast Guard, I mean, they're not like a combat-oriented service. They're more protecting the shores. So my guess is if he's in the Coast Guard in Taiwan, he could be doing some kind of security for the forces there. Now it looks like these air raid alerts are getting canceled. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, so it looks like we're moving more equipment. You see, we have looks like another C-17. Wow. 5th C-17. Check that out. Just took off from Dover. Look at that, guys. Absolutely insane. Another C-17. That's 4 C-17s and a C-5 going to Europe right now. This is serious, guys. I don't think this is for Ukraine. I think this is for potentially Poland and the Baltics. Let me see if I can make this bigger. This is insane. I haven't seen something like this in a while. Look at that. Look at all those C-17s and C-5s. The C-17s are a heavy lift plane. They're massive plane. They can carry the second most amount of cargo in the entire Air Force. Number one is the C-5. The C-5 carries the most cargo, and then right before it, the C-17, the Globemaster. The C-17 can land anywhere in the world on a tank of fuel with up to, I forget how many pounds of payload, but it can carry like at least an entire M1 Abrams tank, if not more, and it can go anywhere in the world. So they're bigger than they look sort of like a Hercules, a C-130, but they're bigger. They're much bigger than the Hercules, and they can fly anywhere in the world. That's why they're called the Globe Master, because they can land anywhere in the world on a single tank of fuel. They can transport serious hardware anywhere in the world on the fly. So they're doing right now what they were designed to do, which is to move massive amounts of stuff long distances in short time frames in contingency situations. So this is very serious, guys. This could be for Poland and the Baltics, most likely. Um, So this is just absolutely crazy, guys. Look at all these heavy lift planes going over to Europe right now. That's a huge red flag. Means something big is about to go down. As far as I know, this is not the weapons for Ukraine. As far as I know, they weren't supposed to get a weapons package yet. Maybe it is, I don't know. We have a Kazakhstan Air Force plane taking off from Minsk. That's also very concerning because Kazakhstan is part of the Russian NATO CSTO. Very interesting. I'm going to set up a camera here. I'm going to set up a camera of Kaliningrad. Let's see if I can get a camera here. PAEMT says extended weapons package warranty available soon. That's funny. Yeah, that's true. See if I can get a camera going here or two. Get some Kaliningrad action. Keep an eye on Kaliningrad. So we got Kaliningrad on the lower right. Maybe I'll get some scanners going here in the U.S. We'll get some police scanners going. But I do think we're going to see some civil unrest because of the Trump verdict. I think that's coming. What's interesting is Poland took down a lot of their cameras along the border with Russia. They used to have a lot of cameras on the border, and they took those cameras down. So that's pretty concerning. Yeah, they took all the cameras along the border with Russia are all down. We have a frost advisory here in north central PA tonight. Temps are supposed to go down into the 30s. Ukraine's Air Force One just went dark over sea. Which sea is that? Which sea are you talking about? See if I can get another live feed here. They took a lot of the cameras down, unfortunately. I used to have some good cameras right on the border of Russia and Poland, and they took them down. Heading towards Southeast Asia. Okay, got it. Yeah, I saw that flight. I'm not sure what to make of that. Looks like it's going to Singapore because that's where what's his name? Lloyd Austin is in Singapore. So if the Ukrainian Air Force One is going to Singapore, it means that the Ukrainian president or top generals are going to Singapore to meet with Lloyd Austin. WD Glockenroll, good to see you. As far as I know, PAEMT does not have any videos on medical on YouTube. But if you have any questions about medical stuff, I can talk to PAEMT. He knows a lot of stuff about medical. The Russians have lost 500,000 soldiers. Putin might be ready to have another big draft again. Yeah, for sure. I have no doubt that they're going to do another draft in Russia. So what you're looking at here is a live camera of Kaliningrad, Russia on the lower right, and northern Poland in the lower left. No, you didn't lose sound. I just wasn't talking. So we have a massive amount of military cargo going to Europe now. This is absolutely insane. Look at this. Oh, wait. Looks like we have a 6th cargo plane. Wow. Look at this, guys. A 6th cargo plane going to Europe now. Absolutely insane. Look at that. 6 military cargo planes going to Europe right now. This is just ridiculous. Check that out. That is just insane. Wow. That is crazy. I hope they don't try to attack the cargo planes. Yeah, I hope not either. That would be pretty bad. That would be pretty bad. But yeah, we have a massive amount of cargo planes here going over to Europe. Huge sign. Wow. I hear planes in the air right now in Oklahoma City. Yeah, there's Tinker Air Force Base over there. It's a major base. What's going on, Smoking Swamp Outdoors? How's it going? Yeah, as far as what you missed, we had some unusual radio traffic on Russian nuclear war frequencies earlier, like the Russian buzzer in particular, which the Russian buzzer is known to be Russian nuclear war frequency, and it was broadcasting potentially encrypted traffic. Now we have half a dozen military cargo planes going to Europe. And we had some footage shared by Russian media showing what they claim are Ukraine using American weapons to strike Belgorod. So potentially tonight, Ukraine struck Russian territory for the first time with American weapons, according to Russian media. So, yeah, it does look like it's coming out of Fort Bragg. Yeah, I saw that too. I wasn't sure. Yeah, it looks like one of them is coming out of potentially Fort Bragg. I don't know. Where's Fayetteville? Oh yeah, Fort Liberty right here. But do they have an airfield there? Oh yeah, there it is. Pope Field, yep. Yeah, looks like it took off from Fort Bragg, yep. So we have potentially special forces going over to Europe now. Maybe those are the advisors, the military advisors potentially. So yeah, that's pretty serious to have a C-17 coming out of Fort Bragg Pope Air Force Base heading to Europe in the middle of the night is very weird. Yes, the 82nd Airborne is in Poland and Germany. So this is pretty serious, guys. This is pretty serious. Did someone say chicken and biscuits? That's funny. Uh, yeah, we have a massive amount of cargo planes going to Europe. One of them leaving Fort Bragg in the middle of the night, which is very concerning. Fort Bragg is home of the Special Forces. So there were several frequencies, Smoke and Swamp. The Russian buzzer, the frequency for the Russian buzzer is well known. It's 4625 kilohertz. And it was transmitting encrypted data. How serious on a scale of 1 to 10? With 10 being a nuclear war, I would say we're at a 7 right now. 7 or even an 8. If 10 is actual nuclear war, I think we're at like a 7 or 8 right now. We've been for the last few weeks. Yeah, northern Pennsylvania, north central Pennsylvania. The Allegheny Plateau is one of the safest places in the eastern U.S. That's why I moved here, actually. I was debating on going to Tennessee or Pennsylvania. I stuck to Pennsylvania simply because of different reasons. I still have some people in New York that I'd like to be closer to. But north central Pennsylvania, northwest Pennsylvania is one of the top areas east of the Mississippi, along with the Cumberland Plateau and the Ozark Mountains. Those are the best areas. So Allegheny Plateau in Pennsylvania, which is basically like the north central northern part of PA, and the Cumberland Plateau is like southern Kentucky and like eastern Tennessee. And then Ozarks, obviously, those are the top three best areas east of the Mississippi, as far as being away from population centers, hilly, forested terrain with a lot of resources, good growing seasons, winter's not super harsh, except northern Pennsylvania, they have harsh winters, but still, it's not like Canada or Alaska or anything, but, good amount of moisture. West Virginia is a good choice, but it's not the best. It's not as good as those places because West Virginia is closer to some of the bigger cities like D.C., especially Washington, D.C. Everybody from Washington, D.C. is going to go to West Virginia, and everybody from like Cincinnati, Columbus, places in the Midwest are going to go to West Virginia too. So for those reasons, it's not the best area. But it's definitely a good area though too. The Pennsylvania elk are also my family. That's funny. What about northern Wisconsin? Northern Wisconsin is also a top area. It's not as good as the areas I mentioned for different reasons. Northern Wisconsin is great though, but it's not as good as some of those other areas, simply because it's extremely cold, and Wisconsin is becoming a blue state now, so there's less freedom and it's harder to prep in Wisconsin. Also in Wisconsin, you have a lot of national forests. And the problem with national forests after SHTF is that national forests are federal land, and federal land could potentially be seized by the federal government in a nuclear war or SHTF situation. Any federal land could potentially be seized and closed to the general public. And so Wisconsin has a lot of national forests. There's not as much private property as like Allegheny Plateau, Cumberland Plateau, or the Ozarks. There's less private land that you can get. Yeah, I mean, you can. It's not just me, NYPrepper, saying this. Also, Joel Skousen. You guys know who Joel Skousen is? I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of him. He wrote the book Strategic Relocation. Joel Skousen says that the best area in the entire Appalachian Mountains, the best area is northern Pennsylvania. That's what Joel Skousen said, because there's not a lot of nuclear war targets, far from big cities, hilly forested terrain, good growing seasons, lots of resources. The weather is pretty decent with the exception of harsh winters, but and occasional tornadoes. So I'm going to just check some sources here, see if there's any updates. Lots of stuff going on. I really think we're on the verge of a war between NATO and Russia. Russia is planning to build a logistical support center on Sudan's Red Sea coast, which it likely intends to use to advance its efforts to secure a Red Sea naval base. So, wow, this is huge, guys. Russia is going to try to build potentially a base in the Red Sea. And why is that huge? Because that's biblical. The Bible says that Russia is going to form a coalition of countries that's going to attack Israel in the latter days. And, Russia's getting more and more involved in the Middle East now. So now they're potentially going to be building a base in the Red Sea. That is crazy. So Russia launched a huge strike on Ukraine. We're hearing that over 40 explosions or kabooms were heard in Russia tonight. Apparently, U.S. provided weapons have been used on on Russian soil by Ukrainians. At least 40 kabooms were heard in Belgorod. So, that's pretty serious. Multiple power plants were taken offline in Ukraine. Yeah, crazy night. Tiffany's, how much do I charge to rent a room at my homestead? That's funny. That's funny. I can learn to like elk. That's funny. That's funny, Melissa Jackson. Luke Cray says, if you put your faith in Trump, you will be disappointed. Put your faith in the Lord. Yeah, it's true. You got to put your faith in Jesus Christ, not in any, leader. You have to put your faith in God, not in politicians. Prepper commune at Greg's homestead. That would be interesting. That would be fun. We could have these chats in person instead of virtually. Could update you guys in person. Yeah, I believe we're in the beginning stages of World War III. Tiffany says I have a Nintendo. Nintendos are awesome. Hildegrad says, just for your information, Gog equals Russia. Magog is China. Smoking Swamp says I'm down. KFT says faith in God, not man. Exactly. Faith in God, not man. That's right. Is Putin the Antichrist? No, I don't think Putin is the Antichrist. The Antichrist is going to be a global leader, and Putin is not the global leader by any means. I think Putin is Gog. Potentially he's Gog, and Gog leads an alliance of Middle Eastern countries to attack Israel in the book of Ezekiel, so potentially he's Gog. Central Minnesota is not a bad place at all. Yeah, central Minnesota is not bad. Just try to find some forested area, because Minnesota is very wide open, especially in the southern and central parts, which could expose you to marauders. So if you could get up into northern Minnesota, that would be a little bit better, simply because of the forested terrain. But central Minnesota is not bad at all, as long as you have some trees around you to hide you a little bit. It's not a bad area. And I don't know if you're close to any highways or not, but just remember Minneapolis, St. Paul. When things go south, people from Minneapolis, St. Paul are going to flood north into the countryside. So Elon is a possible antichrist. Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk, I don't know if he's an antichrist, but Elon Musk is definitely not working for Jesus Christ. I mean, he's making all this weird stuff like the Neuralink, implanting, you know, chips into people's brains. You know, that's like Mark of the Beast technology. You know, Neuralink is basically Mark of the Beast technology. You know, with Neuralink, I don't know if you guys have seen that one patient. They released a bunch of videos of him. He's the first patient of Neuralink. And, I mean, he can literally control everything with his mind. And, you know, if they have that technology where you can control things with your mind, if they have an interface, I mean, it can go both ways, you know. So that means they can read your thoughts and know everything about you. And that's where it's going. So, yeah, the Antichrist will be charismatic. I think the Antichrist is also going to have some Jewish heritage too, I believe. And yeah, he's going to be well liked, charismatic. He's going to be a world leader. You know, right now Elon Musk is not a world leader, but he's definitely a player in the end times. Yes, the Antichrist will be worshipped worldwide. That's right. And he's going to create the abomination of desolation. Everybody's going to worship the abomination of desolation. So, I don't think Elon is the Antichrist, but I think he's potentially the guy who invents the Mark of the Beast technology, or a player in the end times for sure. PAEMT says, if Greg did a preparedness event in PA like at a state park, who here would attend? I have medical training and kayaks. Yeah, preparedness would be preparedness event would be fun. A preparedness event would be fun. I'll have to look into that. That would be awesome. I'll have to check into that, how much work it would take to get that going. There's tons of state parks in PA, or even state forests, where you can rent out some campsites and stuff. NYPrepper says I would attend. Yeah, no, Donald Trump, I don't think he's the Antichrist. He's definitely a player in the end times. He's definitely an elite. But I don't think he's the Antichrist. The Antichrist is going to be a world leader. Somebody who's in charge of the entire world. You know, he's going to have a statue of himself in the Holy Land, the abomination of desolation. He's going to be a peacemaker. So Just gonna update the ticker at the top of the screen. The Antichrist will be worshipped by millions of people throughout the earth. Yes, that's right. Yes, the Bible does say that the Antichrist could potentially be gay or bisexual. Yep. That is true. In my opinion, I think the Antichrist is going to be like bisexual. I don't think he's going to be purely gay. I think he's going to be bisexual. Yeah, you can read all the latest information on the top of the screen. So if you're just coming in, all the major headlines are at the top of the screen in the red bar at the top. John Hoover, good to see you. Hey, Greg and chat. I spent a very intense 3 days in Kharkiv. Wow. How close were you to the front line? Were you in the downtown area, or what was that like? Terry says, stop looking for the Antichrist and look for the living Christ. Exactly. Yeah, it's no point in focusing on who the Antichrist is, because I think when the Antichrist comes on the scene, there's going to be no doubt who he is. I mean, there's not going to be any debate. Is it Elon Musk? Is it Donald Trump? Is it Obama? Is it, whoever? It's going to be clear as day who he is to anybody that knows some basics of Scripture. It's going to be very clear who he is. There's not going to be any it's not going to be a big guess, Just remember that God, he wants to make it simple for us, It's not like a trick, where God wants us to figure out who the Antichrist is and stuff. It's going to be very clear who the Antichrist is when he comes on the scene. So I wouldn't really worry too much about it. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's going to be very clear. So yeah, it's not complicated. Frank says, I will bow to no man. I will only bow to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. Yeah, I think that the Antichrist is probably going to be bisexual. That's what I think. That's just my opinion. Blue Angel says you agree. Wow, look at all these cargo planes. Oh, this is interesting. This one plane turned around. Look, the one that actually took off from Fort Bragg turned around now. That's interesting. Huh. That's weird. Interesting. We have another one taking off, though, from, looks like, Quantico. We have another one taking off from Quantico, going overseas. Dmitry Medvedev, the former Russian president, says that the situation in Ukraine is developing according to the worst case scenario. Wow. Dmitry Medvedev believes that the worst case scenario is developing in the Ukraine conflict. The West is bringing the Ukraine conflict to a stage in which it could escalate uncontrollably with potentially global repercussions, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has warned. His comments came amid reports that many Western countries have given Ukraine permission to use their weaponry to strike deep into Russia. In a post on Telegram on Friday, Medvedev, who serves as the deputy chief of Russia's Security Council, stated that Western countries which are said to have signed off on long-range strikes must understand that their military equipment and personnel either operating in Ukraine or carrying out attacks on Russia from other countries will be destroyed. He stressed that Russia considers all long-range systems used by Ukraine to be directly controlled by NATO personnel. This is not some kind of military assistance. This is taking part in a war against us. Medvedev said NATO wants Western involvement in the conflict to be seen as the independent initiative of certain countries, hoping to avoid the need to invoke the collective defense clause. The former president dismissed this narrative as a dangerous and harmful delusion. According to him, actions such as sending troops to Ukraine or guiding long-range weapons are a serious escalation of the conflict. While the U.S.-led military bloc wants to believe that Russia would never use tactical nuclear weapons against Ukraine or NATO, life could be much worse than their frivolous reasoning allows, Medvedev warned. He went on to say that the West risks miscalculating the chances of nuclear weapons being used, just as it failed to anticipate the start of Russia's Ukraine operation. This is not intimidation or nuclear bluff. The current military conflict with the West is developing according to the worst possible scenario. The power of the deployed NATO-made weapons is constantly escalating. That is why today no one can exclude the transition of the conflict to its final stage. Wow. Very strong words there from Dmitry Medvedev. Wow. Wow. Crazy. So yeah, it looks like Russia's going to use those tactical weapons, just like in the Azov Mana prophecy. If you guys haven't seen the Azov Mana prophecy, look up Pastor Philip Barnett. In his prophecy, he saw God showed him a war in Ukraine in the future. This was 15 years ago, and the beginning of the prophecy talks about an invasion, and then the end of the prophecy talks about Russia using tactical nukes on Ukraine, nuking 8 cities in Ukraine. Looks like that's where this is going. So, crazy situation. Wow, lots of military cargo planes going over to Europe now. This is crazy. So, it's getting pretty late over here, so I may have to shut down the stream, unfortunately. I don't know if I should leave it on or just turn it off. I guess probably just turn it off. What do you guys think? Hildegard says this is why the mainstream media reports very little about war news. People will freak out and panic. Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. The Antichrist will survive a fatal wound. Yeah, he gets wounded in his eye or something. I can't remember. I think his eye gets wounded or something like that. Z Cali says you have to endure till the end. John Hoover was in the Kharkiv Oblast. Kharkiv Oblast is where John Hoover was. He's in Ukraine right now. Yeah, he loses his eye, yep. The cities in the prophecy are all in Donbass and the newly integrated territories. That's not true, rogue capitalist. I was actually one of the first people on the internet to share the prophecy. I probably heard about it before you. So that is actually fake news. The prophecy, it's not all cities in Donbass. That's fake. Okay, it's actually a combination of cities across Eastern Europe, Eastern Ukraine. It's Kiev, Kharkiv, Odessa, I think Poltava, Donetsk, and I think also Mykolaiv is another one, and Zaporizhia. It's all the main cities in central and eastern Ukraine. The only part of Ukraine that doesn't get hit is western Ukraine. So yeah, that's fake news, and it's Russia that nukes Ukraine, not the U.S. nuking Ukraine. That would be stupid. Why would the U.S. nuke Ukraine? That makes zero sense. That's just propaganda to try to make the U.S. look bad and make Russia look like the hero. That's fake news. You can go back and rewatch the prophecy for yourself. Frank says, go to bed. We will listen for an update tomorrow. No problem, Kathy Scalise. Dave says, turn it off and take some rest. Aspen English says, thank you, Greg, for your time and information. Yeah, no problem. Through the years, I've always been able to rely on you for great information, and if you don't know, you find out. Thank you, Aspen. I appreciate that. The world is a stage to the evil ones. I totally agree. Okay, Barbie, have a good night. Yeah, it should still be on YouTube. The Azov Man of Prophecy. It's like from 2008. It's a very old, grainy video. It's like several hours long. BAEMT says, welcome to the jungle. Tiffany says, you're an absolute blessing, Greg. You are saving lives. Thanks for your insight and time. No problem, Tiffany. Thanks for your support. Yeah, I do need to get some rest. I was just saying I could leave the stream up, while I sleep. So if you guys want to hang out and chat and check the cameras, I could just leave it up and, I'll go and sleep. That's what I was potentially thinking of doing if you guys are interested. But maybe it's better I just shut it off. Yeah, I'll just turn it off. Yeah, we all need sleep. That's right. Thank you, Z Cali, for sharing my Telegram. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can go to the Discord and chat. That's true. That's very true. If you leave it up and the world ends, should we call you? That's funny. Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna shut it down. I wish I could stay up more, but I gotta go to sleep. It's after 3 a.m. here, and I want to have a somewhat productive day tomorrow. Good night, Brian, PA City Prepper. Good night, NJ Prepper. Thanks for the support. So I'm going to monitor all this stuff going on, and I'll update you guys if anything happens. But it does look like Russia is preparing their nuclear forces for something. And we have reports that Ukraine used American weapons on Russian territory, so that's pretty serious. Thank you, Hill Walker. So have a good night, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow with more updates, or actually today. I still consider it tomorrow because the sun didn't come up yet. So even though by the calendar we're still the same day per se, but according to God, it's still separate because the sun didn't come up yet. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for all the support. I appreciate all your kind comments. It's always fun hanging out with you guys here. And just get prepared. I think in the next couple of days and in the next few weeks, things are really going to get crazy. and really escalate. So, just prepare as best as possible. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. So sleep well and take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 P's: prepare, practice, and persevere.